It's Friday, February 4th, and this is now on HNN.
This opening ceremony was a moment for Beijing to show off a wealthy and powerful China.
Everyone's talking about this. China, which used its first Olympics to amplify its international aspirations, invited the world back, sort of, for the pandemic era's second opening ceremony.
Obviously very alarming.
We'll have an update on Red Hill. Progress on water flushing is being overshadowed by questions about a military official's comments.
So that's why my reaction was the way it was.
A massive winter storm continues to affect hundreds of millions across the country. I'm Laura Podesta with details on the power outages and overall destruction left in its wake.
You can't remember another year when so many people went to work.
We got these stories, plus the latest U.S. job numbers show significant growth. Those details are coming up on This Is Now. What an exciting day here at HNN. You know, the opening ceremony for the Winter Games took place early this morning our time, but you can catch the replay coming up in just a bit on KHNL at 3 o'clock.
And right now, let's take you live to Beijing. This is the famous Bird's Nest Stadium. The opening ceremony included thousands of athletes, and just over 20 world leaders attended, including Russian President Vladimir Putin. Selena Wang has more.
The Beijing Winter Olympics have officially kicked off with the opening ceremony. It was a visually stunning spectacle with the use of elaborate technology, but it was a simpler, more subdued event than the 2008 opening ceremony. They used 3,000 performers this time around versus 15,000 back then, because in 2008 there was this immense pressure on China to pull off this extravagant ceremony to cement China's role as an emerging global superpower. This time around, China's not trying to prove anything to the world. It is a more confident nation, and in fact, this opening ceremony was a moment for Beijing to show off a wealthy and powerful China, and one that's, under Xi Jinping, is more authoritarian and increasingly at odds with the West. That is as the United States, as well as some of its allies, the UK, Australia, and Canada, are staging a diplomatic boycott of the Olympics as a statement against allegations of genocide in China's Xinjiang region, allegations that China strongly denies. A big contrast to 2008 when George W. Bush was in the stand shoulder to shoulder to Chinese leaders. This time around, a very different guest of honor, Vladimir Putin. Along with Putin, there were other autocratic and strongman leaders, including Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the leaders of Egypt, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan. China surrounding itself with a very different set of friends. Selena Wang in Beijing.
Now to the latest on the pandemic. 1,192 cases reported statewide today, with 10 new deaths. Nearly 700 of those infections are on Oahu. According to the State Department of Health, 75% of the state's population has completed its primary series of vaccines, and more than a third of the state's population has received a third shot.
New today, Oahu will play host to a summit of U.S., Japanese, and South Korean officials next Saturday. The meeting is part of a Pacific swing for Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who is set to meet with American allies in Australia and Fiji next week. One main point of discussion in the Hawaii talks will be North Korea's ramp-up of missile tests.
The Army is on damage control, trying to explain a colonel's controversial remarks on the tainted water crisis, which were caught on surveillance camera. Some claim the video is evidence of a cover-up, but last night the colonel herself spoke at a town hall to clear up the confusion. Ben Gutierrez has the explanation.
Some military families could be moving back into their homes soon, but much of the discussion focused on that video that's been making the rounds online. It appears the overheard conversation may have been taken out of context.
This is like high hazard. We need to figure out if these are connected.
This surveillance video was taken last week Wednesday at the home of Jamie Williams. At one point, Colonel Alicia Masson of the Army Environmental Command says This is worse than fuel.
It was my home. That's my video. Obviously very alarming. The one question that I have not heard answered, despite it being asked several times, what is worse than fuel?
Masson says it wasn't because of a substance worse than fuel. It was the scope of finding the irrigation system, which would have complicated the flushing of homes.
It really was about the fact that if this is present here in my mind, I'm multiplying that by 1,668 homes. And from my chair, that would feel like a really big problem. So that's why my reaction was the way it was, and I apologize if it caused alarm.
When she went and saw that irrigation system that they didn't know about beforehand, that's what she said was bad, because she didn't know the ramifications of it at the time, and as a scientist, she is trained to take the worst case scenario up front and work back from there.
The Army says it has now confirmed the irrigation system is not connected with the drinking water, but it doesn't know yet if that system is contaminated.
Can you say unequivocally, can you look me in the face today and tell me that there is absolutely not a hazard in my front yard?
I don't think that any of us could do that. That's not something we would do without running several sets of different types of tests.
We're going to flush the irrigation systems, and we're going to make sure you got clean water in your home before you move back in.
The Army says it is awaiting final test results and is optimistic that residents can start moving back to Red Hill next weekend and a Liamanu military reservation at the end of the month.
Light at the end of the tunnel. We're almost there. We're going to get there.
The Army also says the return of residents still depends on water testing results, which are expected soon, but still have to be validated by the State Department of Health. Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, America added 467,000 jobs last month. Restaurants and bars added more than 100,000 jobs. Logistics and business services jobs also increased. Now, the January unemployment rate rose to 4%. This is the first time the jobless rate increased since June of 2021. Here's what President Biden had to say about the new report.
This morning's report caps off my first year as president. And over that period, our economy created 6.6 million jobs. 6.6 million jobs. You can't remember another year when so many people went to work in this country. There's a reason. It never happened.
The Big Island's coqui frogs are incredibly loud, fire ants are a pest, and albizia trees are a threat. But as Casey Lund explains, there is an effort underway to remove some of those unwelcome plants and animals.
Well, here in Manoa Valley, you can see and occasionally hear many of the plants and animals that just aren't supposed to be here in Hawaii. But if you look a little closer, you'll also see a success story. And that's found in the work done by so many organizations and agencies battling things like albizia trees and myconia, two examples of plant life that threaten native vegetation that's so important to Hawaii's ecosystem.
Albizia is one of those invasive species that when it was first brought to Hawaii, it was actually used to do some forest restoration, and they didn't realize the impacts that it was going to have in the future.
From the very tops of tree canopies to the bottom of the forest floor, these out-of-place plants and animals pose a threat not just to the ecosystem or our outdoor world, they can also change how we live our daily lives. When farmers in Maui County lose their crops to axis deer, they could be faced with raising the prices for the food we eat or risk losing their business altogether. Little fire ants aren't just a pain for humans, they can also cause major crop damage and even go after your pets. Invasive species experts Aaron Bishop and Chelsea Arnott are getting the word out about the ever-growing problem and highlighting the issue during Hawaii Invasive Species Awareness Month.
There are amazing groups out there, state agencies, even community groups that are working to address this problem. But that's why we have a Hawaii Invasive Species Awareness Month, because we do need everybody's help to do it. We can't do it alone.
And pitching in, doing your part, might be easier than you think.
The first thing is that you can tune in to any of one of the webinars that we're having all month long. Another thing people can do is we encourage people to plant native species, and if you're unsure about what a native plant is or what an invasive plant is that you should have in your yard, you can visit plantpono.org. They will let you know what the pono plants are that people should be using. And if you recreate out in the forest, we encourage everyone to start their hikes, their hunts, and their bike rides with clean gear. That way you're not introducing these weed seeds into the forest.
Well, we have a link to all the webinars and other resources happening this month at HawaiiNewsNow.com. Something you should think about checking out, especially if you're a homeowner looking to keep your property and your neighbors free from invasive pests. Reporting at Manoa Valley District Park, I'm Casey Lund. Now back to you.
Check out this live shot on your Aloha Friday, looking out over Kaka'ako Waterfront Park. Hope you're all planning to have a great weekend, because I hear it's going to be gorgeous out there. Here's Guy Hoggy with an update.
Because the winds will run light and soft today, some clouds will build up in the afternoon, and those cloud buildups might spawn a few showers late in the afternoon, but they will not be widespread. Otherwise, you can expect lots of sunshine today. Beach weather, but watch out. We've got big surf rolling into north and west shores. Another swell peaking today. A bigger swell coming in tomorrow. High surf advisories are posted for north and west shores. And even south shores got a little bit of a boost. So we've got a nice long stretch of beautiful weather. Lighter winds today. Stronger trade winds coming in for the next several days through the weekend, with a few more windward and Mauka showers Sunday and Monday. And then we're back to lighter winds on Tuesday.
Let's get you an update now on that massive winter storm that's caused havoc in many parts of the country. It's now moving into the northeast, where our Laura Podesta is reporting from New York.
Icy roads sent vehicles sliding in North Texas and led to this massive backup along Interstate 10 after a semi jackknifed and landed on its side. The massive winter storm is dumping heavy snow and freezing rain from Texas to Maine.
It's anticipated that the entire state will be in a freezing or below freezing temperature situation.
A buildup of ice brought down tree limbs and electrical lines, leaving hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses without power across the U.S.
That repeated melting and sagging can weaken the tree even more and cause more outages.
As the system moved east, crews in Ohio salted roads, and New York's governor issued this warning.
Our best advice is just to stay off the roads. They're absolutely hazardous.
Here in New York City, a travel advisory will be in effect until Saturday morning. Rain and sleet is picking up and temperatures continue to drop.
Yes, we have a magnificent crew of individuals who know how to salt the roads, but when the first weather event is rain, it washes the salt off the roads.
Thousands of flights are canceled, mostly in the Northeast. In the Deep South, cleanup is underway, especially in Memphis, where ice sent trees crashing into houses. The winter storm left cars submerged in Alabama and triggered a deadly tornado that shredded homes. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
A reminder, opening ceremony coverage of the Winter Games with traditional performances, pageantry, and the Parade of Nations will replay at 3 p.m. on KHNL. The first day of medal competition includes 6 medal events. U.S. stars in action include snowboarder Jamie Anderson, cross-country skier Jessie Diggins, and short-track speed skater Kristen Santos. Team USA is already making headlines in some early events. Figure skater Nathan Shin recorded the second highest short program score ever while competing in a team event. Chin also took the top spot in the men's short program with a score of 111.71. Now, the opening ceremony did happen live early this morning, and we learned some really fun facts that we wanted to share with you. I want to start with this. Countries typically enter the arena in alphabetical order based on the language of the host country. In Beijing, countries were ordered by the number of strokes in the first character of their Mandarin Chinese name. So Turkey went second with 3 strokes. Greece always goes first in the Parade of Nations because they were the first nation to, of course, host any Olympics back in ancient Greece. Now here's another one for you. German speed skater Claudia Pechstein is making history. She turns 50 just days after the games end, making her the oldest woman to compete at a Winter Olympics. She is also just the second athlete to compete in 8 Winter Olympics. One more fun fact to share with you, and this one's super cool. After the story of the 1988 Jamaican bobsled team took the world by storm and inspired that 1993 film, Cool Runnings, Jamaica will be competing in a 4-man bobsled race again for the first time in decades. That's super exciting. And on that note, I have to play out this clip.
Ready? Ready. Feel the rhythm. Feel the rhyme. Get on up. It's bobsled time. Cool running.
Yeah, I love that movie and really miss John Candy, right? What a
man.
great comedic
So many
legend.
memories.
Yeah, we got some more Olympic news to pass along.
Yeah, Team USA will be getting a big boost from a big star. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is part of NBC's coverage of the opening ceremony. He taped a message for Team USA. And don't forget, you can watch a replay of the opening ceremony at 3 p.m. right here on KHNL. And if The Rock is giving you a pep talk, you know it is.
Yeah,
You know it's
that'll
going to
hype you
cash
up.
in.
That'll hype you up. All right, guys, I got one more little video to show you too, and this is really going viral. This is Nathan Chin at the age of 3. Check him out on those skates. You know, he became the youngest person at the age of 10 years old to compete at the 2010 U.S. Championships, and he is just doing so great already, as we already mentioned.
Incredible expectations, and Team USA also has high hopes for 16-year-old Alyssa Liu. The Californian brings a fearless attitude to the ice, and she's looking forward to the Olympic experience more than the medal ceremony. She caught up with Jamie Yuccas.
Welcome to the ice, Alyssa Liu.
16-year-old Alyssa Liu was in 3rd place after her short program at the U.S. Figure Skating Championships less than a month ago. But the 2-time national gold medalist and Olympic favorite was not out of the running.
She still has a chance of becoming the national champion.
Until she tested positive for COVID, forcing her to withdraw and jeopardizing her chance to make the 2022 Olympic team.
I was really nervous, and then I got the news that I made the team, and I started crying with joy. I was like, I thought it was over.
What an emotional roller coaster that must have put you on.
Yeah, it was scary.
For Liu, it's really just the beginning of an already dominant career on the ice. She laced up for the first time as a 5-year-old.
Look at disbelief.
By 13, she'd won her first of 2 U.S. national championships. She's the oldest of 5, the daughter of a Chinese immigrant who came to the U.S. as a 25-year-old.
What drew you to skating?
One day my dad took me and my sister to skate, and I really liked falling and sliding on the ice, which I'm not supposed to fall right now, but that's what got me into skating.
By 12, she was the youngest skater in history to land a triple axel in international competition.
Fantastic.
And she's the youngest to do it.
A year later, Liu surpassed Tara Lipinski to become the youngest U.S. national figure skating champion since 1997. She won again in 2020.
She's a machine.
Liu has been rewarded for her bold approach. She's the first woman ever to complete the elusive triple axel and a quadruple jump in the same program, and the first American woman to land a quad in competition.
Like, it's really easy to get injured on those jumps, especially if your mind isn't in the right place. Because if you hesitate, it won't go well. So learning those jumps was a struggle, but when I actually finally learned them and landing them is very satisfying now.
Liu feels confident that her mind is in the right place heading into these games. And in a sport where the pressure is high, she's learned to tune out the noise and negativity that filters through her social media accounts.
It's so weird to have so many people watching me, and a lot of times they say a lot of things that they wouldn't say to in person, and I feel like social media either helps them say more bold things, which can be good, but also if they're negative comments or really weird comments, then it's a little strange.
And at the end of the day, she isn't too fixated on the medals.
What are your goals for this Olympics?
My goals for this Olympics are just to have fun.
Yeah, it's not to win a gold medal?
That would be nice too. I think mainly the experience of just being there would be really nice.
Do you think there's too much emphasis sometimes on having to win the gold medal?
Yeah, I think so a little bit. But deep down, everybody really wants to win that gold medal.
Jamie Yuccas, CBS News.
Awesome story. All right, let's see what else the internet is talking about. And this is big in the world of entertainment. We're talking about the reboot of Sex and the City. I've been following this. I've watched several episodes. Yeah, this has really got people talking. Icy tensions from the set and from a former star. In an interview with Variety, the series star Sarah Jessica Parker said she wouldn't welcome back former co-star Kim Cattrall on the series sequel just like that. And she hasn't been a part of this first season of the sequel at all. She says there's too much public history of feelings and hurt feelings. The two have had a long feud for decades dating back to the original series, and they haven't worked together since the second Sex and the City movie. I'm not going to give you a spoiler alert. Oh, well, I'll give you a spoiler alert, but not give you a spoiler, that there's a lot of talk about Samantha in this new sequel. That's the character Kim Cattrall played, but she never makes an appearance. She does do text messages, the character does, but they also sort of hint like she might be coming back, but it never happened.
Yeah, and I read somewhere, too, that Kim Cattrall is just fine with not being involved in this project at all. Yeah, this is very illuminating to hear about such a feud that's been happening for quite some time. Elsewhere that is trending online, the countdown to Super Bowl 56. Can't wait. As expected, attending the big game requires big money. The average resale price for a ticket is $10,540. Get this, for context, just back in 2010, it was at about $2,000, and this is the first Super Bowl played in LA in nearly 30 years. And so, and it's going to be a great showdown of Bengals, Rams in LA. Our Ian Schuring and Steve O'Hara will be there, and starting Monday for live reports leading up to the game. Covering this event is such a remarkable experience. It really is unique, and there is nothing like it. It's going to be so fun to watch. And if you're heading up there, share your experience. Yeah. Email us at news@hawaiinewsnow.com. And another story we want to get to, big tournament, big contest this week up in Pipeline as the pros take over. We want to say congrats to a local bodyboarder making serious noise both here and on the mainland. 15-year-old Kainalu Shim is a student at Moanalua High, and he recently clinched the junior championship on the California Bodyboarding Tour. That tour consisted of 3 stops spread out over several months. He took first in all 3. Up next, an international tour that includes events in Kauai, Mexico, California, and Puerto Rico. And also, too, fellow local boy Shaden On. He was pictured in there as well. So 2 shredders right here, local bodyboarders making some serious noise. Really proud of them. Keep it up. Bright career ahead.
Congrats. And I can't imagine paying that much for a Super Bowl ticket. Man.
Oh, my gosh. $10,540. And that's just for one ticket. That's just for one ticket. And then
can't bring the kids.
Also, too, as we see with these events leading up, it really picks up even more the closer and closer that you get to the actual game. So it's $10,540 today. Wait till it is by, next Friday, next Saturday. Then you'll really see how the price moves.
All right, gang, I want to take you live back over to China. There is the Bird Nest Stadium that is just where the opening ceremony, again, happened early this morning. It's going to replay. One more reminder, KHNL, 3 p.m. You don't want to miss it. And don't miss all our Olympic coverage coming up on later editions of HNN. We also have a special section on our homepage. Wanted to leave you with this. This is Pittsburgh. And just listen to what the ice on the trees and the power lines sounds like. You guys have a good weekend and be glad you're here.
Happy Aloha Friday.